More Threads, a brand owned by a former teacher and Black American freedman, use their apparel and more to teach hidden truths and Black American history. More Threads will address the lack of knowledge and negative images in our community. Check out www.morethreads.com to purchase our apparel, read thought-provoking blogs, and more. Sign up to have raw conversations and wear clothing that acknowledges, celebrates, and honors our lineage at www.morethreads.com.
So back in 1995, Dr. Claude Anderson, conducted an interview, with a brother out of Detroit. And I want you to hear something that he was saying about Black people at that time period being solidified as a permanent underclass. Let's roll that.
Mentioned that blacks will be pretty much a permanent underclass in America by the year 2015. Why the year 2015?
2015 because what I've concluded from analysis is that there are going to be a converging of social factors nationally and internationally that's going to place blacks in a permanent status of underclassship. And we anticipate by that point in time, based on all the research that's coming to us, that the next generation of whites are going to be more anti-black than they've been since the Civil Rights Movement. 2, we anticipate by the same token about 86 million Hispanics coming into the United States and about 41 million Asians by that point in time, which is going to kick black folk out of being the minority in the society down to a minority. We've been number 2 in the society for 400 years as a group. We're going to become number 4. And if we have not gotten anything after being number 2 for 400 years, you guess what's going to happen when we become number 4.
Now, was Dr. Claude Anderson right? Well, I looked at the 2020 census, and according to the 2020 census, at least what were counted, it was about 62 million people of Hispanic origin. Now, Dr. Anderson say 80 plus million. We're not talking about the people that's not counted. I believe he probably hit his target or then some. Just in the past 2 years since Joe Biden has been in office, 4 million of them have came into this country. 4 million since he's been in office. Because Joe Biden has this open border policy and everybody just flooding on in. It's so bad here in the state of Texas. That's why the governor is sending them to other states, because they're draining all the resources here. They in the border towns as well. Even some of the Haitians are here in Texas as well. Even I think was it McAllen, Texas. My wife recently said that she saw a bunch of Haitians there, and that's something you don't see. Is a bunch of Haitians in the border town, but they even there. But understand the majority of the immigrants coming in is not Haitians. We all know this. Now, he talked about 40 million Asians, right? Well, according to the 2020 census, it's about 19, almost 20 million Asians. So he's not, too far off. And once again, there are Asians here who are undocumented as well. That's not counted. So he could have hit his numbers right on. But let's talk about a few things that he did talk about, different things internationally that pushed black people out the way, or different things domestically with these other groups. We all talk about the Asian hate crime bill, right? They are in less population than black folk, and yet their status has been elevated above black folk, like they was enslaved for hundreds upon hundreds of years. So we still talking about that. You talk about the Hispanic community, how they have been elevated in many ways over black folk, because them folks want to use them and they want to give them menial jobs and not pay them right because we're going to fight for it, etc. Right? We're going to fight for equal pay and the right pay. We're not going to put up with anything, right? But they want to prioritize, those groups over black people. Anytime it's something for us to make sure it's for everybody, so they can go ahead and prioritize all these other groups. What Dr. Anderson has said is that us going down to number 4 and being a permanent underclass, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, we're already there. And Dr. Claude Anderson was right. He was been warning about this happening, and no one did anything in our community about this. And our politicians have been collaborating to make sure this happened because they get their checks. You understand? Our politicians don't support reparations like that because they already got their reparations by selling you and me out for the agenda of the Democrat Party. I can't even say Republican Party because the majority of black folks aren't Republicans. It's very few. On top of that, we got to deal with economic sabotage. in this country. That happens to us constantly. It don't happen to these other groups. See, the other groups will come in America with a clean slate and thrive. And that's why they tell you within 5 years, oh, hey, I got this, got that. I work so hard. You black folks are lazy. No, you're not telling the story that they allowed you to come in here. They paid for you a lot of things. Listen, black people right now are coming into this country and staying in nice hotels while black folks are being homeless. People who broke our federal law, that's okay. The federal law don't matter. It don't matter at all. But let you break a federal law. Watch where you go as a black person. People who break in federal law get put up in hotels, but people who were scamming, because some of you were, scamming them PPP loans, and you get federal lockup like this. They break the law, they get a hotel, you get a jail cell. I mean, this is where we at with folks. And see, like I said, certain messages I just stopped giving y'all because y'all just can't receive it. And I'm cool with it. Like even certain things in the past I used to do. Like even through this platform I wanted to do. People didn't want to receive it. You're rejecting it. Fine. I said, I'm going to keep my mouth shut about it. Or I'm going to talk to my crowd that really would listen to certain things. But the fact is, in America, it's not going to change. Black folks are going to be a permanent underclass. Reparations can help with that. But just being realistic, reparations is a long-term fight. Very, very long-term. I always say to black people, make sure to take care of yourself and your family first. And don't be in a position to be a permanent underclass. Now, the way you really get in a permanent underclass status is through economics. If you're a black person that got to the point that you're making 6 figures, 7 figures, then you're doing good. You're okay. You're okay. But the people who are in low income, that's who the underclass status is going to affect them more, because all this stuff is built off of economics. You have to understand, in a capitalistic society, they got to have an underclass. They got to. And they don't want these other groups being the underclass. They want you, because you have always been established as the originator of the underclass. You the builder of America, you the innovator of America, but you have to stay underclass. Other groups will come and step on our backs and get to where they want to get to. And they know these other groups are not going to really fight them like that as well. They know that. That's why they prefer these other groups. Show me a time these other groups have ever stood up to white supremacy. You're not. There's no collective fight they've ever had. Anytime they want to say something, they want to worm their way into our situations. Only group I've ever seen come out, I think the Asian community came out one good time that I got to see, was Peter Liang, to get him off with the Kai Gurley situation. But I've never seen them come out in mass talking about their rights or standing up for certain. No, I've never seen that. And the Stop Asian Hate thing, that was all propaganda. And the moment they got the bill they wanted, all of a sudden Stop Asian Hate just went away. All the hate for Asians gone after you get a bill. Like y'all got to study that. That's what we got to study. That Stop Asian Hate movement, how the Democrats and the mainstream media collaborated to get them that bill. The media demonized black folks, highlighted homeless black folks over and over and over and over again. And then when the FBI statistics came out for that year, black folks suffered more hate crimes. Black folks lead as victims of hate crimes in the United States of America, yet black people don't have a hate crime bill. But yet people that barely got an uptick in their hate crimes, they get a whole protection bill? That's what I'm talking about. This is what Dr. Anderson was talking about. And yet you got silly folks in the Democrat Party and they collaborators like Tiffany Cross and Joy Reid and Boulay Martin and the rest of them telling you go run out and vote for Democrat. So you can be more of a permanent underclass. No, you vote for policies. You vote for people that's going to do something for you and for your community. And they don't do nothing for you or your community, they can kick rocks. That's the way it is. I don't vote for you. Of course, Boulay Martin and the rest of them going to be like, oh, that's dumb. Why would you do that? You get a check from them people. That's why your check is predicated off of how many black people you can encourage to come vote for nothing. Your sponsorships is predicated, your luncheons, Boulay Martin, is predicated off of how many black folks you can influence to get out there and vote for the Democrat Party. Because notice the message isn't just get out and vote for whatever candidate you feel is going to be good. No, it's Democrat. You think the Republicans? No, just tell people just to participate in the process. Don't tell people what political party to vote for. That's why we say Democrat shields. It's because you're pushing a particular party. You're not pushing just voting what's your interest, voting on policy. You understand? But Dr. Anderson, he's been spot on. He's been spot on, and black folk, the only way out of this is economics. Because politicians not going to save us. They never have been a savior. It's economics. Economics. Entrepreneurship helps us, gets us out of problems. We don't deal with issues and problems through entrepreneurship. I'm proud of black people. During the pandemic, you created more businesses than any other group. That's great. Our saving grace is going to be economics. Education, that we educate ourselves. We talking about the white supremacists all day, but then you send your kids to them to be educated? That doesn't make sense. You know how these teachers are. They ain't teaching anything. But y'all let me know what y'all think about, what Dr. Anderson had to say. Because as black people, this is call it what it is. We in trouble. We are in trouble in America. And things are getting worse. At least during the civil rights movement time, we had the family together so we all can get in a cohesive unit and fight something. We don't have that anymore. We have an 80+ single parenting rate in the community. Marriage rate is in the toilet. And I get why the marriage rate's in the toilet. I mean, for a lot of times for men, why would you want to sign up for marriage when 75% of the time women filing for the divorce? Then in the divorce, you're getting everything taken away from you. So, I get it. I do get it. But we don't have the dynamics that we had back then. So the fight isn't the same. It isn't. We're actually in a weakened position now versus back then when we had the family structure put together. We could come out of it if we're not dependent on the system, folks. As long as you're dependent on them for a job, them for your daily bread, them for everything, right? Then you're going to be a permanent underclass. But when you become an entrepreneur and you do for self, then you don't, and we do that as a collective of people, then and only then will you get from underneath that status. Because the more and more people that come in here, the more and more they're going to drown out your voice. Hey family, on November 20th through December 1st, 2022, we will have the all-inclusive Kenya trip. Now, a lot of times people have said, hey, Phil, when's the next trip we'd like to go? I want to see Africa for myself, but this is the time to go. Everything will be taken care of. All excursions are paid. You can do monthly payments. They'll have safari and a 6-city tour. You will see Charlie Island, which is something that we did not see last time on the tour. This tour will be 12 days instead of 7 days. So make sure to secure your place on the trip by going to www.wbsvs.com, make your deposit, and then you can start making your payments, and we'll see you in Kenya.